The next ingredient, vitality. This is energy, spirit, curiosity of living, tenaciousness of life, manifesting the will to live, resistance, defiance, and resourcefulness. You'll use this skill to size up obstacles, learning about them because you're naturally curious. This is different from strength in that strength is offensive. Vitality is defensive. Being able to deal with the crap that will inevitably get thrown at you. In life, the only certainty is that challenges are coming for you. If you're in business and striving to be successful, then you got a whole boatload of them coming at you. Getting solid with this ingredient means that you're well equipped to absorb the hits, stay grounded, and then keep moving forward. One who possesses the correct levels of defiance is a rock, firm in knowing when it's time to act and when it's time to hold tight and keep your wits about you. It's like a splash in the pond being your life, peaceful, undisturbed, glassy surface, until someone throws a stone in the pond. This happens to people every day, and the way they usually handle it is to freak out. Most will immediately want to do something to fix it right away. Many will jump right in the pond and use their hands to try to smooth out the water again, inadvertently creating even bigger disturbances. If you're balanced in your vitality, you'll be composed in these moments, and you'll sit on the side of the pond and just watch. Yes, the pond is disturbed, but like always, you'll know that if you sit patiently, eventually the ripples will subside and calm will be restored, and much faster than if you did anything about it. Number 3 is acquisitiveness. This is the extent to which you're eager to obtain knowledge, money, things, or recognition, or to make yourself better mentally, physically, or financially. We spoke earlier about wanting money and how there's a big difference between being motivated by money and being motivated solely by money. Having a healthy level of desire to make money is a necessary ingredient for success. In its absence, you're operating a charity operation, not a business. A business exists to make money. It's for profit. In excess, you become greedy. You trip over dollars to pick up dimes. Prime example I see of this is when investors are trying to trip down brokers on their fees. And they may get a reduction in the fee, but then they've alienated a broker who might bring them a far larger and better deal in the future. In excess, you fail to see the value to the other side in a negotiation, or become the slave to external things beyond your control. Your identity becomes tied to things and what people think of you. In lack, you let opportunities go. You get robbed. You give, but at your own expense. You put the needs of others ahead of your own, or you're overly charitable. It's admirable to be giving, but in business, you don't give unless you're getting something in return. I mentioned something earlier, acquisitiveness also of obtaining knowledge. One area that investors sometimes lack is this, acquisitiveness of knowledge. This is education, getting educated. This is one of those foundational things that becomes immovable. And in general, you can never get enough. Even if you lose your shirt, they can't take away your knowledge and wisdom. This is the asset that never goes down in value and can never be taken away. In this business, it used to be that education you could only get by trial and error. But there's not much reason for that today. Now you can read a book where someone else poured out their heart, soul, and experience, and get it all in a few hours. You can experience their whole life. Can't read? Then go to YouTube. Listen to a podcast, books, courses, real estate investment meetings. Education also means street smarts, the stuff they don't teach in books. This part is still learned by trial and error, but there's a dangerous way and a safe way to do it. The safe way is through blue-collar work. working with the downtrodden, or play poker. Hell, play a game of Monopoly. The dangerous way, well, that's in getting yourself into dangerous situations and seeing how you handle it. To be successful in real estate, you should want things. You should have a healthy desire to better yourself, to better your standing in life. The next ingredient, cautiousness. This is about being careful, looking before you leap, using your judgment. It's making sure the water is safe before you jump in. This is giving proper consideration to the dark side of the business, that you might lose money and you might get taken for a ride. This is also about thinking things through before you speak or act. You might feel good in the moment by telling off the realtor who passed over you to give a deal to someone else, but it might be better to think it through and instead have a sit down with that realtor to find out their process on how they decide who to call when they have a deal. You still might not get their business, but you'll learn some information that could be useful with the next realtor you come across. This is also about being tactful, polite, and diplomatic. You walk into a hellhole of a house that you're looking to buy, and you talk about what a piece of crap it is. You don't know. In the process, you might be offending the seller who grew up in the house and whose mother died in that house. If you were tactful, you could talk about how the history is evident, but how it needs updating and what the cost will be. Being tactful. In excess, you're frozen in fear. You're analyzing and overanalyzing, but never pulling the trigger, or being too nice at your own expense. In lack, everyone knows your secrets. You make enemies with your words. You throw caution to the wind and get involved without fully assessing the situation. In balance, it keeps you out of trouble and endears you to everyone, including those opposed to you. The next ingredient is confidence. This is about having a healthy level of belief in yourself, having self-respect, self-love, and self-reliance. This is about being proud of who you are and what you do. In excess, you fail to see your flaws, blaming everyone else but yourself for problems. You'll try and do it all yourself. Remember the old mantra, if you want it done right, do it yourself? If you've ever caught yourself uttering these words in your mind, then this might be something you want to work on. In lack, you're filled with self-doubt, inadequacy, and you won't go for it for fear of not being good enough. You'll hesitate out of fear that someone else will do it better. A good example of this is those investors who won't put in a lowball offer because they think someone else will definitely offer more. The thing is, how do you know? More than that, you're failing to see the value in putting in offers for the experience of being rejected. It's part of what you must do. That's free knowledge. The experience of putting in lowball offers and getting rejected, get good at that. Get comfortable with that. And you'll find that you'll get more believable. As you get more believable with the sellers, more sellers will believe in you. Many sellers are not aware of what they can get for their property. But if you're hesitating when you put in a lowball offer, they'll pick up on that hesitation. And then they'll reflect it right back at you and will hesitate on accepting it as well. If you lack confidence, you'll also find that you're governed by what other people think of you. You tend to value their opinions more than your own. Public opinion can turn on a dime, and often for no good reason. It's a fact of life that you will be unjustly accused at some point. If you're basing your worth on what other people think of you, then when this happens, it will crush you. If you get indifferent to it, the bad stuff will either leave you alone, or if it doesn't, it won't bother you as much. Either way, it won't affect you. This raises another relevant question. Who are you comparing yourself to? If you're comparing yourself to others, you'll find that there will always be someone better, and you'll always feel inadequate. That's a horrible place to be, because a feeling of inadequacy will breed more inadequacy. If you're comparing yourself to yourself, now you're onto something. Now you're on a journey of continual self-improvement. So instead of comparing yourself to what someone else is today, you compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Then you seek and find ways you can improve upon that. At that point, even tiny incremental gains become huge drivers of success. What you find is that as long as you keep at it, the benefits will compound and there will be no downside. When you've found the right balance of self-confidence, you become very self-aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, and you'll be comfortable with it all. A good example of this, I had a very street-smart investor. He was a former criminal, basically a common street thug. He got into real estate. Now you know why real estate gets a bad name, right? He lacked analytical skills. He uses his street smarts to be out on the streets drumming up deals. He goes to the places where no one else wants to go. But then he gets a member of his team who crunches the numbers for him. You know, he could have went and taken classes and learned how to use an Excel spreadsheet to crunch numbers, but he still wouldn't be as good as the people who had those natural skills. So instead, he gets someone who's better at those things than he could ever be. And he doesn't partner up with them because he doesn't really need them to be a partner. He hires them as an employee because the value of this guy's business is in getting screaming deals. He doesn't need an analytical partner to do well. He only needed an analytical employee.